everybody, Lev in Diecast showcase time today. How about we take a look at some Matchbox pocket catalogs. 92, 94, 96. We're going to go through just kind of the mid-90s and see where we're at. We're going to start with 1992. This is pretty much the end of the A-Dot era, the end of the Universal era. This is before Tyco took over. So this is kind of the old school Matchbox going away as we get into the Tyco era. The Tyco era was rough at best. This pocket catalog basically goes through year 1 to 75, starts with number 1 up here. Most of these models are pretty straightforward. Most of them are pretty common. Some of these are like pre-pros, like of course the fire engine, that's a pre-pro deco. That deco wasn't released. Things like that. Most of these are production though. They're pretty decent with the production on these. Some more right here. That BMW 5 Series is a pretty decent one. This catalog is quite pixelated in its print, but still gives you the deets. You know, you can take a look at like the Lamborghini Diablo. That's a resin model. You can sell resin mock-up. Same with your Mercedes 600 SEL. So not too bad. So the Sunburner did start its life out to be a Viper. It just didn't really make the cut. So. But they casting had gone along far enough in production that they were like, yeah, let's just figure out a way to release it. Everything in here is pretty straightforward. I mean, this era of Matchbox is pretty common. The Universal era, of course, this is the era of quality build, moving parts, functionality, and stuff like that. And of course, it ends right there at number 75 for your first 75. Team, this is just called Matchbox Team, but these are the twin packs, aka trailers. TP900, I think is what they used to call them in the super fast era. But these ones are pretty good. Some of these were pretty rare, pretty hard to find. I do have a couple of these in the personal collection. Some of these I don't, like this G-Wagon. I'm not sure if that one actually made production, but I'm pretty sure it did. This one did. The Land Rover 90 with the horse box is pretty good. And of course that power boat, it's a super fast power boat, still rocking its way into the 90s. Yes, plenty of Convoy as well. Plenty of Convoy. Nothing particularly like crazy rare, but they did have Team Convoy, of course. A Convoy truck with a matching model. So a couple tanker trucks, your Ferraris, your Porsche for Pirelli. Some tractor stuff, and then of course that DHL one is pretty cool too. Old school DHL when it was still red and white, which is kind of cool. Hot Wheels graphics. Oh, for Christ's sakes. Matchbox graphics. These were just blank white models, kind of similar to Color Comp, and then they came with markers, and you could just deco them however you wanted. I think some of them came with stickers too. I don't think all of them came with stickers, but maybe all of them came with stickers. But a couple of gift packs with some extra models in there. There were some Skybusters as well. Nothing particularly fancy. It does show just coloring them up. Just doing some average stuff. Some of these I'm not sure if they actually made it to production. Stuff like these bigger sets. I don't think I've ever seen like this particular one. But it could have been in other markets as well. So these triple packs, those are not common, but you can come across them if you're really looking for them. All right, lots of very, very cool construction stuff with a lot of accessories. This one right there comes with some scaffolding, just some signage and stuff. These are models just pulled directly out of the basic 175 range. The trucks were exclusive decos. The Grove crane is actually a pretty desirable kind of very, very rare piece from Matchbox, the Grove crane. Now this Grove crane right here, this is the mock-up. This is the mock-up before it actually became a model. The production one I think had 5 or 6 axles. It's a little bit different, but this one's kind of a resin mock-up. I'm glad they didn't go with that one because I think the production one that they came out with is significantly better. So just some more mock-ups on this side for some other sets. Carry pack with a bunch of stuff in it. There's the scaffolding all set up for that one. And then, of course, a big construction zone, which, of course, went along with Motor City. It's just too bad that all their roads were just single lane wide because I don't think that was quite the best. Emergency stuff right here, just general emergency stuff. This is not the Intercom City. This is just general, like police fire kind of stuff. I've never actually seen that one right there. I'm not sure if that ever made it to production. The rescue center with the boom on the top, that convoy truck. If somebody knows if that actually made it to production, let me know. Drop a comment. I'd be super appreciative of that. Other than that, everything else is pretty straightforward. All exclusive decos in those as well, I believe. I think this one right here was very similar to the action pack, that ambulance. So I do apologize about a little bit of the glare here. Another 30 pack right there, just a big old bucket of Matchbox cars, and then of course a rescue playset right there, which looks pretty good. I've never actually seen one of those either, so I'm not sure if that one made it to production either, but it could have. Hot rod racers, I've never seen these. Apparently it connects to your foot, and you can shoot them off from your foot. I talk about innovation and diecast companies not doing anything innovative. This isn't exactly the innovation I'm talking about, but at least they're trying something different. They're trying to do something. You just don't see that nowadays. I mean, Hot Wheels, when they try to be innovative, they make a completely different thing, like skateboards that have nothing to do with diecast cars whatsoever, which is just absurd. Skybusters, when everything was a licensed model, they didn't make junk. You got Grumman in there, your A300, the Harrier, Tornado, Supersonic, F-16s, Boeing 747s, of course, the NASA Space Shuttle. Good old licensed stuff. Your Lockheed Martin. I mean, everything. The Hind D, super cool. Even that BA-146 plane, which is a pretty sweet piece. And then some other gift sets right here. This is for the Red Arrows. I'm not sure if all of these made it to market, but I'm pretty sure this one did. I think I've seen something like that. It's kind of interesting looking at some of this stuff, because I feel like a lot of the stuff that you see in here never really made it to like US shelves. I think a lot of this stuff was made in dropped in Europe and stuff. It's just kind of interesting. Motor City was some pretty cool stuff. These are some smaller sets right here. I do believe they came with one model each. So a little bit of crazy glare there. Again, sorry about that. This little playset down here is pretty straightforward. It's just basically a bunch of roads and stuff. This one is kind of cool. Intercom City. Of course, this was, if you guys are not familiar, Intercom was actually electronic activated Matchbox models. You would drive over a activator, and it would make, I believe if I remember correctly, it'd make sounds or maybe even lights for the model. So this is, of course, Intercom City stuff here. So these are all Intercom City decos. Now, they didn't all these decos, to my understanding, didn't all end up as Intercom. Some of those ended up as just regular plastic bases, But these are some pretty cool pieces. If anybody knows if those made it to production, let me know. Those are two of my favorite castings of all time. The Chevy Snowplow top kick, and then, of course, the Ford boom truck. So if those have come to production, I would love to get both of those, if that's something true. I know a lot about Matchbox, but I don't know everything. I'll be the first to admit I don't know everything. A big parking garage right there. Some more just roads and stuff. So just a ton of roads. Just nothing particularly fancy. Kind of moving through here, just more basic play sets. This one's a harbor with a boat and stuff like that, and some containers and stuff, which is pretty cool. This one right there looks to be like a small parking garage service center type of thing. Another service center, pretty straightforward construction site. And then, of course, they did a bunch of stuff for the circus. So all of these sets did come out, as far as I know, except for, I'm not sure if this one came out with that RV trailer you see right there. So I'm not sure if that one came out with that, but still looks pretty cool. Moving through here, 20 packs, those are pretty straightforward. 10 packs, pretty straightforward. All that stuff came to production, same with those. All these crisscross stuff, the farm sets, the construction sets, all that good to go. Ferrari, Porsche, very, very, very expensive, difficult sets to acquire. British Airways, pretty straightforward. I do have the British Airways set. Don't have the Porsche or the Ferrari set. And then, of course, there's a fire set up there, which I think were exclusive decos. And I've never seen that one, so drop a comment if you know about that one too. Motor City Garage space for your convoy trucks and all that good stuff like that. And then alarm cars. These are bigger scale. These are like 1/43rd-ish scale. Of course, you could lock them up. Not really sure the market that those came out in because I've never seen those in real life. Thunder machines. These are basically like burning key cards, so to speak. These ones had launchers instead of a key, but they did basically the same thing. And those castings were pretty cool. They had soft rubber tires on there too. Not real riders, just soft rubber tires. And then lightning models. I have a ton of these in my collection. I think I have almost all of them. There were a couple of play sets as well. So this one is the ejector ray set, electronic drag strip. I think one or two of these came with some like NASCAR style cars. And those ones I'm not sure if I have those or not, but I don't think so. These are the same models, just with the keys in the back. So there you go, lightning key cars. Good stuff, good stuff. Micro World. I have never seen any of this stuff in my life. Never seen any of it in my life. I really don't know anything about it. I'm not even sure if it all came to production or not. Air transport, sea transport as well. You do have a super set, which pretty much includes everything. Looks like it opens up, maybe folds up as well. So not too familiar on those. Action farming. These are king size. Basically, is what they are, with some accessories and stuff like that. These were definitely not widely released. Some of these were pretty difficult to get. Even nowadays, it's pretty hard to find some of those. The construction ones, I have not even seen some of these. I have never seen the Unimog tar sprayer, which that thing is just super cool. That's super cool. The skip truck is really cool. That's okay. It's from the old school Super Kings, the king size. So they put a new cab on there. It's a Leland cab, but the back section is from the super fast era. So it just doesn't look right to me. Ford Transit and then a bulldozer on there. Same with that digger and plow. That's from super fast era. The tipper truck is very, very cool. I do like the construction stuff. Crane is pretty cool as well. It says 900E on the side. That JCB 808 excavator, that's also from the super fast era. That's pretty cool. That is a Scania cab, which is really, really, really nice. And then, of course, the pipe truck. Really, really cool. Really cool. I mean, all the king size stuff and super king stuff, all that stuff is pretty cool. And then just models right here, just some emergency models. Suzuki Satana. I don't know if that came to production. You can tell that's a resin mock-up. I've never seen it. So if that one ever did come to production, please let me know as well. So always want to hear more information on that for those in the know. The tow truck's pretty cool because it comes with the apparatus to put a car on it. Coast Guard, some box sets. Kind of crazy to have a box set for Super Kings. So sorry about the glare. And then, of course, the International PKW, as they put on here, but just the standard models right there. They're relatively 1/43rd scale based on Super King size, and they made a ton of different ones. That 500 SL, that 500 SL is a mock-up. Same with the Suzuki, that's also a mock-up, as well as the Diablo. So those may not have actually made it to production, but the rest of those are good to go. So we'll crack this open here. And then more Super Kings, your tour bus, your refuse truck, the Ferrari Transporter, and of course the Porsche Transporter. Those were both full-on production models. All right, Matchbox collectibles. These were a very short-lived thing. I actually don't have any of these. I'm very disappointed. There was a ton of them, though, and they released a bunch of different versions. They were, of course, based mostly on 1 to 75 models, but they were all exclusive. They're mostly plastic. I think there was very little metal to them, but they were designed to connect together. So you could put like the front of the Model A Ford with the afterburner on the back. This is cool innovation. This kind of thing is cool innovation. I think is cool innovation. Not really sure how that would go over nowadays, but I thought that was pretty cool. And then just stretched versions of like limos and stuff. Helicopter transport. This one splits into two different cars. I don't think all of these made it to production either. I don't think any of the crazy limos did, but they were using some brain power there. And then some bigger play sets, some bigger box sets, and some other stuff up here. These are a little bit bigger scale ones as well. So throw this over here. And then railways. I'm not exactly sure if all this stuff made it to production either. So I just never see this stuff. So I really don't know if any of this stuff actually made it to production. But they were electronic. They drove. They did all kinds of stuff. They were not the die-cast models put on here. They were specifically for the railway stuff or whatever. And then that's the end of it. That's the end of the first catalog. 1992. So that catalog's pretty lengthy. Okay, it's pretty lengthy. But then we move into 1994. And yes, the Tyco era. The crazy Tyco era. And of course, this is it. That's all you get. You just get one little pamphlet and a couple of things for some other stuff in the back. This is it. That's crazy. That's crazy. All the products that Matchbox has to offer is right here, which is like a tenth of the first catalog we looked at. As far as all these models here, there are a ton of mock-ups. That Viper, that's a resin mock-up. That's not the production one. They use the same picture of the fire truck as the one we saw before. Going through here, everything's pretty straightforward. The Ferrari 456, that's a mock-up as well, resin mock-up. Coming down through here, you can see they mocked up the Stingray 3 with a roof. It was never offered with the roof. It was always a convertible. And then as we move through here, just looking at the rest of it, that 62 Corvette is, it's a mock-up, but it's not a resin mock-up. And then, of course, the Nissan 300ZX, it was never offered with the 8-dot wheels with that deco. That deco for the Oldsmobile Aerotech was never released. That deco for the 850i was never released. Let's see. Let's go through here. Escort Cosworth, that's a mock-up. The Rock TV was not released with orange accessories for the antenna and the camera section there. And then moving through the rest of this here, I do apologize about the glare. That deco for the Alante was also not released. Same with the deco for that Corvette. So it was the deco, but not the colors, and it was not released with the 8-dot wheels. Couple of new casting resins, obviously, for your Probe, your Camaro, the Aston Martin DB7. This Corvette was released with that deco, but never with those wheels. And then that Ferrari Testarossa was never, ever released. That's actually decoed up kind of like the Spark models. They had a little flint in there, and they made Sparkies when you drove them, which was kind of interesting. The only thing on the back here that it kind of goes off of is, of course, some Harley stuff that they were doing in the 90s. They were doing a bunch of stuff for the Viper show, which never made it to production. That show also didn't last very long. I think it only lasted maybe 4 episodes, something like that. But that was axed. Oh, there we go. There's the sparklers I was talking about. So the super sparklers, those have like flint in them, and you drive them, and they literally spark. It's a new thing. Hot rods, motorized, those made it to production. You push down the back end, and it kind of took off. It was kind of like one of those wind-up models with the motor in the back. Pro Racers, those did come out. For Looney Tunes, the full set was released. Of course, they had original Series 3. I think some of those came out. I don't think the entire series came out. And then moving through here with some play sets, your Car Crusher, which was kind of cool. Electronic Car Crusher. Car Wash, same basic car wash they used for a very, very long time. Same motors set as well. Travel play sets, they were kind of here and there. Rapid Shot Slam set, and then, of course, the Scorpion. I don't know if that Scorpion set ever made it to production, but that is, of course, 1994 subsidiary of Tyco Toys, printed in Hong Kong, Mount Laurel, New Jersey, which was a rough time for Matchbox. Now, 1996 got a little bit better as far as like the quality of kind of pamphlet here, but it's still the same basic size, and most of the models are even the same. That Hummer right there was never released with chrome off-road wheels, which was disappointing because I actually think that looks pretty good. Nothing particularly fancy through here. That's a mock-up, obviously. It's a resin mock-up using pretty much all the exact same pictures, just with updated decos or modified decos. It's kind of crazy that the 1 to 75 didn't change for several years, which is super disappointing. That one is an almost completed model, so I think that might even be a diecast first shot. That exact deco was not released. It was similar to that, but it wasn't not those two shades. There you go. You do have the proper Stingray 3 there, and then of course the Escort. At least they came out with like the production versions at this time. That one's still a mock-up right there. You can see there's no interior. I just like to look at those. I just like to look at, kind of like the process of production. So there is the deco. That one never released with that deco, the Buster, which is a generic, which is disappointing because that's actually a kind of cool deco. That totally matched the 90s vibe too. And then of course just a couple more production version, no more resin mock-ups. Same here, pretty straightforward. And then of course the Ferrari F50, one of the last models to be issued with the spiral wheels before changing over to the concave 5 spokes. Now there was a mail-in during this time. Action System was their playset system. It went from Motor City to Action System. It's called Action System. This was a exclusive triple pack that you could get for mailing away. I did this mail away when I was a kid, way back in the day. Of course, when I got these in the mail, I played with all of them, of course. But I was actually able to acquire these a few years ago from a local shop called Colorado Diecast. Through a little bit of extensive negotiations and just talking, I found out that the owner had a set of these and worked a deal out so I could get my hands on them. So that's where I got my set from. Good old Action System right there. I'll throw those up on the screen. All three of them, nothing particularly fancy. The Volvo was the best one by far. As far as production stuff in the back here, there is your, of course, Action System. There's all of the sets right there. The police chase was kind of cool because it was a billboard and the police would just hide behind the billboard. These were a little bit better than Motor City as far as like the accessories that went with them, but they were still relatively simple. And then this is the way that they used to do 5 packs way back in the day, which were okay. Let's see, taking a look at these 5 packs. The Street Streaker did not come out in that color in that pack. The 3000 GT did not come out in that color in that pack. I don't think the Mach 3 did either in that particular color. These were a little bit... This one was definitely not released that way. They did not do a two-tone shaded XJ220 in the pack. Hot Rods looks pretty close. The Police, they definitely did that one. The Fire, they did that one. Kind of interesting. They put this model in there backwards. And then moving up to the Military, they put the Hummer in there backwards for some reason. They put the Crane Truck in there backwards. I don't believe the Crane Truck was done with a gray cab section. I think the cab section was black and the boom was gray, if I remember correctly. Racing, that one's actually spot on. Off-road, that one's also spot on too. So that probably shows just which era or which 5 packs came out first. So nothing particularly fancy. If you stuck around for that whole video, I do appreciate that. Kind of hard to look at a gift pack with the studio setup I have, but just kind of want to look at the 90s flair and drop a comment and let me know what you guys think about those. Please make sure if you know the stuff that was actually released, let me know so I might be able to actually try to hunt that stuff down at some point in time. But anyways, drop a comment and let me know. Catch you next time here on the channel. Never them Diecast.